Hey guys, so about a week ago, a caller called into the Atheist Experience and he actually asked Matt about Darth Dawkins. So, Darth has come up a couple times, like on Talk Heathen. Matt said that he didn't want to take a call from him on the Atheist Experience, etc. So, let's go ahead and see what happened.
John in Tennessee, pronouns are he, him, wants to know if we think the show's impacted theist communities in negative ways. Like what, Jonah?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So basically, I'll just bring up a name of a negative person. Like, do you guys recognize Darth Dawkins?
I've heard the name, yeah. I believe he may have called in the past. I know he's got his little acolytes he'll send around.
He refuses to talk to me, so yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
people like that. Do you think that the show's existence has like perpetuated people like that coming in and basically spreading their poison, so to speak, throughout
Do you
theist communities?
think that Darth Dawkins and other evangelicals would not be spreading their poison if we weren't here?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I mean,
They literally have a verse that commands them, a couple verses that command them to do it.
Yeah, but Darth really doesn't care about that, right? We all know that Darth is driven by his narcissism.
So, no, I don't think I have encouraged.
that.
Yeah. So, my thing is,
I'm not necessarily. Oh, I'm sorry.
I know for a fact that we have convinced some theists to stop believing. I have no problem with the notion that some theists may listen to this and, man, they might amp up their proselytizing. They could be on fire with the Holy Spirit going out to witness, and I don't give a fuck because I'm telling the truth and I'm challenging their beliefs. And if that motivates them to try to spread it more, cool. That's job security for me, even though I don't get paid for this. But
Yeah, he definitely does get amped up about stuff that he sees on the show. Just watches these shows. He always calls Matt Dillahunty Matt Dillabloviator every opportunity he can. Every opportunity he can, he calls Shannon Q duck lips or something like that. So yeah, he definitely has it in for these guys. These people kind of occupy some space in Darth's head.
it's still job security in the sense that there's always going to be a rationality to counter.
Okay. Well, you guys definitely helped me. I wasn't saying that you guys have made a
Yeah, no
bad
worries.
impact on people.
It's a legit question. It's the reason I saw your question before the show started, and I was like, I definitely want to make sure we take that one, because what if it did turn out, Mike, that we sit here and we debunk, nonsense claims or point out the fallacies and other things, and what if it just turns out to strengthen and make them more extreme, maybe? It's still one of those things where, like, truth is always a defense to libel in my head.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I just, how would you go about combating those people other than what we're already doing?
Depends on what you
I would
mean
do what I'm doing.
specifically.
Yeah, I think actually when it comes to people like that, I think Tom Rabbit, the channel, is one of the best ways to combat these types of people, because they want to actually just kind of say things and just deny that they said them later. If you don't have the recording, it didn't really happen. But I mean, I've talked to J Mike about this, and my channel is basically like a historical record of a lot of the shenanigans that these theists get up to.
Yeah.
If you're talking about evangelicals or
like,
subs or what, depends, because there's different ways that they go about. It depends on what you mean in virtue of like what they want to push against people, the art, like just arguments. Specifically, I'm not really sure what you mean.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is kind of a dumb question. I mean, other
It's
than
not a
what
dumb
we're already
question.
doing, what else can we do?
It's not a dumb question. It's just specifically, I mean, because
Oh, it's a good question.
yeah, it's like if you there's different different ways that I guess I could cash that out in terms of like, what could we do in virtue of like talking about just the conversation, or what type of responses or objection should I consider to these talking points, or like what can we do in our communities, or actually by legislation or lobbying or things like that. There's more than one thing to consider in this umbrella of religion.
I'll give you an example, Jonah. I just did a video. Jimmy Snow and I did a video responding to Jordan Peterson, because Jordan Peterson's a whiny little shit who's
great video,
not particularly impressive. And it was basically he got suspended from Twitter and decided to post a multi-camera slick shot whiny thing where he repeatedly misgendered and dead named Elliot Page. And one of the things that he did was he talked about how Elliot, being this famous actor, is probably influencing hundreds or thousands of young girls to become trans. And part of what we pointed out, that's not how any of this works. People, let's just, because he views it as a fad and he thinks that Elliot is a woman and all this other stuff. It's just terrible.
Darth head nodding right now.
But even if Elliot Page had inspired a bunch of non-trans kids to think they're trans for a period of time, it's irrelevant, because Elliot Page has every right to their identity, to their life, to their pronouns, to their name, to absolutely everything else. And if it impacts somebody else's life, that doesn't invalidate their life, because that part is just true. Similarly, if somebody winds up incredibly depressed because we've managed to convince them there isn't a God, that would be damage that you could point back and say, not you, well, I mean, you could, but I'm not saying you're doing that. You could point back and say, hey, this is what damage you guys are doing. And my response to that would be, no, the damage was done by the religion.
Yep.
The damage was done by putting ideas in people's heads that without the religion, they are worthless, that without the religion, they are of less value. And so when the religion goes away, it wasn't me or J. Mike that put those ideas about their value in their head, because we are in agreement that we're all humans and have whatever value humans have universally, to whatever extent we have a value. So complaining that Elliot may be doing this, there could be harm, is kind of like your question. It's a legit question, but it's not so much that we need to find out, hey, is it true that there's harm being done, or where does the actual harm lay? Because I would argue that to whatever extent Elliot might be inspiring trans kids, it's because they didn't know about options before, because of people like Jordan Peterson denying the reality of people's gender identity. But that's just me. And a bunch of people.
So I definitely agree. And I don't want to waste your guys' time. I know you get theist callers that you need to get to, because they need convincing. But do you, to redirect the question, do you think it might have increased the extremism, or do you think that was just a trend that the religion has been on in general, especially in the United States?
I think that's a trend, and irrationality is a big part of that trend.
Okay. Well, thank you, guys. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Thank you so much for letting me talk.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
So that'll do it for that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.